Welcome back. On today's video guide, I'm going to be showing you how to convert your Totems Pro fork running the chain drive to the belt drive with our brand new conversion kit. In your belt drive conversion kit, you're going to get your already assembled rim with the tire, the brake disc, and the belt drive 72 tooth pulley built in. You're going to get your 550 millimeter reinforced belt. You're going to get your 15 tooth motor sprocket with 3 different set screws, the 2 that are already in here and the 1 extra. You're going to get the spacers. Note that these are different size spacers. In this little guide that we include, you can see that there is a shorter spacer meant for the brake disc side and a longer spacer meant for the belt drive side. That's because these rims are offset. And because we have this spacer in between the brake mount and the fork, we also include these shorter screws to make sure that it is a clean fitment. Now to start, we're gonna remove the brake. It'll make it a little bit easier for us. So we'll just take off the brake mount. And then this is the piece we won't need. But we won't put the brake back on just yet to make it a little bit easy for us. We'll do that a little bit later. Now we're gonna go ahead and we are going to remove the axle bolt so we can get the rim out. And we will be using the axle bolt, but we won't be using these smaller axle bolt spacers. So we won't need these, or we will carefully remove our chain drive rim. And we won't need this, so we'll put this away. We'll also take off our chain, we won't need that as well. Now we'll have the fork like this, and now we need to work on getting this motor sprocket off. Now to remove these set screws out of the motor sprocket so we can get the sprocket off, we may need to use heat. The reason you may need to use heat is because we use red Loctite on these so they don't come loose. Now what I recommend doing is either taking a soldering iron and literally putting it onto the bolt to heat it up, or take a torch lighter and kind of heat this bolt up a little bit. Now this one, I didn't put red Loctite just for the build purpose, but you may need to do either of those 2 things to get this off. Now to get the motor sprocket on, we won't be able to fit it in with the fork. So what I recommend doing is loosening these, not all the way, but if you look at it from inside, just enough so where it hangs on to the threads. So we're gonna do that for all 3. And now you can see that the motor hangs a little bit. Now before we slide the sprocket on, I just wanna go ahead and remove the set screws because I wanna make sure that we install it the correct way. Now we can go ahead and we can put on our belt drive pulley, slide that on. It may take a little force to slide it on the first time because it is a tight tolerance. While making sure that sprocket doesn't fall back off, we can tighten down our motor mount. First, make sure to snug them up, and then we can go ahead and crank every single one of them down. And now we can see we got the sprocket on there, and we're also going to go ahead and loosen our tension bolt. Not all the way. You wanna make sure it doesn't fall out of this nut right here, but you do wanna have the most adjustment possible. We're also going to go ahead and we're gonna loosen our motor mount bolts. So we're gonna grab our 10 millimeter wrench. We're gonna loosen one by one these 10 millimeter bolts. And now we should be able to move the motor up and down freely so that we'll be able to adjust our belt tension when we get there. Now we're gonna work on installing our belt drive and rim. We're gonna take our 550 millimeter belt, we're gonna put it on the side of the fork underneath the motor sprocket. We're gonna take our rim and our axle bolt spacers. Remember which one is the longer one and which one's the shorter one. The longer one is going to go into the belt drive side, the shorter one, the brake disc side. So we will slide that in. Slide that into place, grab your axle bolt, insert it through the rim, out to the other side, grab your washer, lock washer, then the nut, We're gonna go ahead, we're gonna crank that down with our 16 millimeter wrenches. Make sure everything spins nice and smooth. And before we put on the belt, we are going to install the brake. We're gonna lay down our fork. We're gonna take our brake. We're going to slide it into place. Take our smaller included M6 bolts, lock those into place, and then tighten them down. Now that we have the brake mount back on there, we are going to need to adjust it so that the actual caliper isn't rubbing. And we're gonna loosen these 2 bolts, and that will allow us to move the brake mount to align it. Now this is probably the trickiest part in the entire install, trying to get this to line up perfectly. Now what I do is kind of align one up, just kind of get it a little bit snug on there. Align the other one, just nice and tight. We can see that we're still a little bit off. We're getting close. Looks like it's rubbing this back one, so we're gonna push it towards me. And we can see it's getting kind of nice right there. So we're gonna tighten both down. Let's hope we're good. And now we're good. So I'm gonna give one more crank just to make sure it is 100% good. Now we're good. We're gonna grab our belt and we are going to put it onto our rim. Now we're not gonna tighten anything down yet, but we wanna make sure that we get the proper sprocket spacing. I can see that about there would be great spacing. So we're gonna take the belt back off. We're gonna grab our set screws. We're gonna take a mental note of where it was. It was about there. And we're gonna start tightening down this motor sprocket. Now in your kit, you're gonna again get the 3 different size set screws. 2 are gonna be shorter, 1 is gonna be longer. The 2 shorter ones are going to be for if you're running if you're gonna be running a circular shaft motor. The 1 longer one is going to be for the D shaft part of the motor. In this guide, you can see install the longer set screw on the D shaft part of the motor. So we're gonna grab the longer set screw. We're gonna see that the D shaft part of the motor right there, that slotted flat portion, we're gonna slowly and carefully install one of these set screws into place. We're gonna tighten that down. And now that it's tight, we're gonna make sure that it is aligned good. Let's push our motor down a little bit so it's nice and tight. Do a little spin test. We can see that we have good spacing. May need to push it. We have okay spacing. We can see it's a little too far off the rim. It's a little bit close. It still would work, but I want it to be a little bit closer. So we'll take it off, we'll adjust a little bit more. We're gonna loosen it. We're gonna slide it over just a little bit, not too much. We're gonna test again. And about there is great. It's kind of in the middle of the rim. It's got enough clearance from the motor mount. That's good. So we'll take that off. We're gonna go to the open set screw part, grab our smaller set screw, and we're going to put on red Loctite. Now I definitely recommend red Loctite 272. That is, I've always had really, really good luck with it. But we want to make sure that this motor sprocket does not come off, especially at high speed. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to insert that in. Be very careful not to strip the motor sprocket. Tighten that down all the way. And I do prefer these hex drive sets rather than a normal Allen key because you can get a little more torque down. We're going to unloosen the other longer set screw now. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to install some red Loctite. Nice big blob. Give it a good tighten. Clean down that motor sprocket. We'll do one more test. We can see everything lines up nice. So now what we're gonna do is we are going to set up our belt tension. Now, if you're not running the new tensioner, you're gonna need to hold this up while you tighten these down. But because this has the tensioner system, we can adjust this really, really loose tension by tightening down this little tensioner bolt. So we'll grab the tensioner bolt and we will work on tightening it up. Almost there, we'll give it one more good tighten. That's pretty nice. We'll grab our 10mm wrench and we'll start tightening down this back one first. Give it a nice crank. We'll do this one as well. And then we're gonna take the belt off of the rim and we are gonna tighten this one right here. Make sure to give a nice good crank on every single one of them. And now we will put the belt back onto the rim, kind of spin it a little bit until it hooks. And now we're good there as well. And now I'll do one last bolt check to make sure everything's good. So always like to check all of the bolts, make sure they're all tight, nothing loosened. So that's good. I also like to tighten the tension bolt a little bit so it kind of keeps pressure on there even when these are tight so it doesn't come out. Always make sure your tension bolts are tight. Check those as well. Make sure your axle bolt is tight. That's good as well. And then we now have a fully set up belt drive rim on your Totems Pro 4. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to shoot us an email or drop a comment below. We're more than happy to help you guys out. And as always, stay safe and have fun ripping.